All right, Complete 14 is finally here, and a lot of you have been looking forward to this update. A lot of you have been maybe waiting years for this update. It's been 2 years since Complete 13. And so what I'm specifically going to be showing you is lures, piano colors, Ashlight, a bit of the cello. And I'll also do another half of this video for the sort of hip hop pop music bent. So maybe more of the expansions and some of the play instruments that are new. Skip through the chapters if one or the other is more interesting for you. Is this the be all end all? I had a lot of comments on my last Complete 14 video. I do feel like they have a little bit of something for everybody, but you really got to look at your own situation and decide if this is the right thing for you. Don't spend money on stuff that you don't need. Hopefully these videos do help you realize what is the value of certain products. And I've got affiliate link in the description, and this is probably the biggest way that you can help me out. And if you want to see more detailed videos on these virtual instruments, let me know which ones you'd like to see. So now let's look at piano colors, lures, and in future video, I will be also reviewing the choir virtual instrument that's brand new. I don't have it yet, so that's going to have to come after the release of Complete 14. Okay, so first off, we're going to look at piano colors. The thing with piano colors and noir is that they have totally different interfaces here in this contact-based instrument than so many other native instruments, virtual instruments. If you're really not understanding what's happening on a basic level with these virtual instruments, you're going to find yourself very limited by just loading up a patch and not really knowing how to go in and tweak it to fit your song even better. So piano colors, all piano-based virtual instrument, of course, and really beautiful interface. So here's a little idea that I'm starting with. So you've got two layers here of samples. And if you just click on the little sample below a layer, you're going to have the ability to go and choose something else. I can also mouse over each layer here and have a listen to what that sample by itself sounds like. And then we'll go to the second layer here and see what it sounds like. You know what would be great is if Kontakt would allow you to scroll within it. I don't know why you can't. Let's find something else to put in this second layer. Okay, so with piano colors, basically you've got two layers of sampled sounds of piano. Prepared piano, they're using bows, they're using ways to pluck the strings, all sorts of bizarre ways of manipulating piano strings. Over on the left, they've got noises that you can add in. So we can click on the noises and get, pedal noise, mechanical noise, sort of hiss in the background. We've got an arpeggiator, which allows you to program in a sequence. But then we've also got this thing called particles. So you can hear how it's adding notes, almost like a sequencer as well. So the particles and the arpeggiator, ways of adding rhythmic variety or just random variety to a patch. So you can click on the layer, and on the left-hand side, we see stuff specific to this layer. The right-hand side, we see stuff specific to the other layer. So we can see things like the envelope and etc. over here. So I can take the attack of this one. And then in the middle, we have ways of adjusting those two sides. So I'm going to take the solo off. And here I can adjust the overall volume. Next, we've got things like modulation and effects. So EQ, distortion that we could put on either side. We've got more EQ and dynamics. We've got a space thing where you can add reverb. It's kind of a strange thing. It took me a while to figure out where is the reverb? Where do you add reverb to these patches? And then on the bottom, we've got motion. So we can do something like turn on a sine wave on this side. Now let's solo it. And we're going to put a target. We're going to target the volume of this patch. Now you can see a little bit of something happening there. If we want to see more, we just crank this up. And then we can see the speed right here. Right now it's set to milliseconds. I'm going to set this to change over the course of a bar. So all I have to do is click on the metronome thing, and we're going to set this to a bar. bit. There we go. Now on this side, we could do the same thing. So let's solo this one. Turn the power button on. We've still got a sine wave in terms of our modulation shape. And then next I'm going to turn on the metronome, set that to a whole note as well. And then now we are going to listen to that patch. And because this little phase button is turned on, it's going to go opposite to whatever this one is. So it's like reversing the phase of this motion. So watch what happens now. And we can see them moving up and down at the same speed, but if we look at our volume here, we actually see that they're alternating. So if I take the solo off now, the beauty of this is that we get to see the changes happening. So it's like you apply a little bit of modulation here, a little bit of motion, and you actually get to see what's happening. I don't think we can do this on the play instruments. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we can make these kind of changes between the two layers of the play instruments. So already we're getting some really powerful functionality in this Piano Colors virtual instrument that we don't have anywhere else. So that's Piano Colors really in a nutshell. I would use Complete Control to browse patches because you get the nice little preview of what the sounds are. So here we can see the Piano Colors instrument that I've got loaded in this little idea, and this one is called Clockworks. So really beautiful patch. Let's have a look at another patch, Mechanical Mallets. So here's Ashlight, beautiful virtual instrument. I've got a video on Farlight. I'll put a link to that in the description. Make sure you go check out that video of Farlight because I go into some of the details of things like the sample and the grain menus. And these sample and grain menus are kind of the main big deal about these three instruments, Ashlight, Farlight, and Straylight. Basically, this virtual instrument is just a granular side on the left and a sample side on the right. So not left and right in terms of your speakers, but just that's what's building your patches. So they've got all sorts of scrapes and materials that they've gone and sampled and then allow you to manipulate with the granular engine. And then over on the sample side, of course, we've got a bunch of samples loaded in as well. And in these virtual instruments, you can actually load up your own samples, which is really cool and something I haven't even explored. Go watch the Farlight video. I'd show you taking like a vocal sample and how you can really manipulate it and how it's actually something that's very practical and kind of easy to do, but would be a really neat effect for a song with vocals in it where you take a chunk of or a word from the chorus or something like that and then put that in the granular synthesizer and then start playing around with that and getting some really neat effects with your singer's voice. I can turn off the two sides, just this little dot. That's our little santur, an instrument that you actually play with little mallets on strings. I've recorded a real one, and it was an amazing experience. And then we've got the granular side. It's about knowing your virtual instruments. So the best thing you can do once you get one of these new virtual instruments is to sit there and go through patches. Just keep going through patches, play them, and then put a little star beside anything that you love so that you have a little favorites folder. Yeah, let's try loading up something new. Let's load up a new patch. So let's go to piano keys and we'll try bright and see what kind of patches we get. So let's try this Grand Clouds one. A really beautiful patch. I would like a little bit more of the sample in here and a little bit less of the grain. So I'm just going to turn that down. So if we click this little menu right here, we can see that intensity is what this is changing from up and down, and then detune is going from left to right. So now we're getting out of tune as I crank that to the right. So you can go in and change what these XY controls actually are changing. So up at the top here, we have our grain menu for the grain portion. Make sure you go watch my Farlight video to understand how this works, and then the sample menu on the right-hand side where we can go and choose what's happening with our little arpeggiator of our sample. And then, of course, we've got effects, and then the global section at the back here, which allows you to put master effects over all of the patches. Then at the bottom, you see we've got send effects, macros, and modulations. So the macros being what shows up here on my Komplete Control keyboard. I could make several hour-long tutorials on just this virtual instrument interface. It's extremely complex, but so let's put something in on this dulcimer patch and see how it feels. The next patch I've got in here is Ashlight. Beautiful patch. I won't say too much about this because everything we just talked about in Ashlight pretty much applies here. And in Ashlight and Farlight, you're going to be getting a lot more of these string type sounds, and then Farlight, you get some vocal type stuff in there. Really beautiful, beautiful patches as well. But let's have a look now at another totally different virtual instrument. We're going to look at Lors. Beautiful virtual instrument. This is one that it took me a while to get my brain around as well. Totally different way of working with an instrument than the other two that I've just shown you. The Ashlight series, Ashlight, and then the piano colors. Just a quick summary of what this one does is you've got 3 different slots, and within each of those slots you can load up a different instrument. With each instrument that you load up, you can then also have 3 different articulations of that instrument. So you can have them play at the same time, all the articulations at the same time, or you can map them out over the keyboard so that you have one articulation in the left hand, one articulation of the same instrument in the right hand, or you can have them play different articulations if you play more intense or use an expression slider, stuff like that. So a very beautiful sounding virtual instrument. Let's click on the patch browser right here so we can see the different types of patches. If I go over to classical, got a flute thing in there. Not a bad feeling about this. Nice. Go to hybrid. Now we can hear the flutes, vocals, almost a harp. If you look at next to each instrument, you've got a little solo button there. And you can see that the voice is only mapped over a certain range instead of stretching it out down below. And you can see that the velocity is triggering the different phrases. So I've got oohs and phrases right there. So if I play soft, and here it's different phrases too. Really cool stuff. And Lors was made in collaboration with Clinton Shorter, who's an amazing composer, done all sorts of incredible film soundtracks, actually a fellow Canadian as well. And if I click on, say, this cello right here, and click on it right there, we can see the 16 different instruments that have been recorded. So there's only 16 instruments in this virtual instrument as the starting point for patches. So you could go and choose from the different instruments in here, and then the different presets for each of those instruments will show up on the right-hand side. So we've got all sorts of different ways of playing each of these instruments. If I click on the double bass one, we could change this to something like, let's change that to a trumpet. And then let's load up a preset over here. So you can hear it's not like a normal trumpet you'd expect to hear. Very mellow. And then let's try the shakuhachi, a flute. So the big triangle is going to be right to left. And then if you push up or down, you increase the stereo spread and the ambience. So do play around with those little animations. play something in. So we're going to look at one more quick instrument here. We're going to look at the Stradivari cello and then add some cello to this little idea. So I've got a video on the violin. I'll put a link to that in the description. Everything's going to apply to that here. And with this one, we've got different key switches down at the bottom. So I've got virtuoso, détaché, staccato, pizz. Really expressive. And then we'll just go load up another one right here. Let's go with spiccato and then maybe spiccatissimo. So there's staccato, spiccato, and spiccatissimo. I love the different levels of short options that we have in these libraries. Just sound incredible. So let's play around with maybe the virtuoso setting on this one. And I'm going to use the mod wheel here to control dynamics. And just for the heck of it, I'm going to add some spiccato and then maybe some percussion. So here we go. Okay, now what we're going to do is go and look at a whole bunch of expansions. We're going to look at the Massive X expansions, and everything right down from Komplete 14 Standard has a whole bunch of Massive X expansions. We're also going to look at the Maschine expansions, but they're not even Maschine expansions anymore because they're just expansions and they can be used without Maschine. So we'll talk about some of the expansions, have a look at that, and some of the Play Series instruments that are coming with this Komplete 14 and some of the different levels of Komplete 14. So we'll start from Select and kind of work our way up with the stuff that you're going to find in there. Just go through a sort of smattering of them and let you get inspired, see if there's anything in these expansions and stuff like that that are going to help make the decision of whether this update is right for you. So let's check it out. So some of the first things we've got in Komplete 14 Select, we've got Backyard Jams, Motherboard, Neo Boogie, and Soul Sessions. Those are all fairly new products, so that's kind of exciting. Let's start with Backyard Jams. I've got videos on I think all of these instruments. Make sure you go check those out in the description if you want more information on them. But I do remember Backyard Jams being one of my favorite ones. That sounds really great. You know what, just to get a little bit more inspired, let's go check out another one. We're going to go to Neo Boogie and just check out the loops. And let's go to percussion. You know what, I love this Admirable one. Let's try that one. And we're just gonna load that in as a loop. It's gonna match the tempo of our project, which is at 88 right now. And now we're gonna go back to our drum kit, which is from Backyard Jams, and just try playing along. I want a little kick right before that one beat, but let's just take her way down. Almost like a ghost kick. Let's do the same thing right there. And do you know what else we'll do? We'll go to this pattern and we'll double it. And then we're going to, and just double click this bar to see it all, by the way. And then we're just gonna add a little bit more at the end of this Just double snare shot. And let's see what else we got. Soul Sessions, new Play Series instrument that probably came out, I don't know, like a year and a bit ago or something like that. This one's different. I thought this would be all about brass instruments. I was kind of really hoping for that, but it's not. So just be aware that if you want the brass stuff, you're still best served by going to like Session Horns Pro. That one is amazing. I use that all the time. Let's try mallet instruments. Put on keyboard mode. That's pretty fun, actually. We're gonna have 2 layers on this instrument. So if we want to see that, I press Shift, Edit on Maschine. Up pops my Soul Sessions. And let's have a listen to the 2 sides. So if I want to turn one off, just click it. And then Sunshine is. Turn on B. And we'll turn up the balance. Okay, that's kind of fun. Maybe we'll leave that one for now and we'll come back once we have other stuff in here. But we're going to jump all the way to Komplete 14 Ultimate, and that one's got some of my favorite expansions. We got the new one, which is called Freeform, which is actually surprising to me because that one just came out. But we got Soul Magic, we got Faded Reels, one of my favorites, and then if we jump all the way up to the very top, we finally get Crate Cuts in there. We get Satin Looks. So we'll jump over to my good old favorite Crate Cuts, and we're going to look for something on guitar maybe. Let's try this one right here. I'm going to load up that loop. You hit the plug-in button on that, change that to a sampler. It's already at 80 beats per minute, so I don't even have to worry about time stretching, but make sure you watch my time stretching videos if this is new to you, because it's kind of important. So let's go manual, and we're just going to play the first slice. There we go. And I'm going to apply this to my group, and I hit OK. And let's just play something else. You know what would be fun? Let's take that one slice right here and put a reverb on it. So I'm going to go over and put reverb just on that one slice. Set it to Hall. Okay. So I got a fun little idea with the mallets, and I'm just going to play in 6th, and I have a video where I talk about playing in 6th. I know it sounds like a simple concept, but it's just where you play the interval of a 6th and just how nice that sounds. All right, next we need some kind of bass sound. So let's go over to the browser and we're going to go to Instruments and we're just going to go to Massive X. Now we can look and see all of the banks that we've got. If I scroll through here, there is a ton. So there's some old libraries and now there is just a ton of new patches from these expansions. Back in Komplete 14 Standard, we've got a whole bunch. Beam, Bounce, Bump, Charge, Fade, Haze, Kino, Our House, Quest, and Wake. These are all new Massive X expansions. I think all of those have maybe 150 patches each in them. I've got a video on Massive X where I talk about the stuff you can do with chords in it. It's incredible. Totally different way of thinking. And then I've also got a video where I talk about sequencer capabilities of it. And it's like nothing else. There's literally nothing else like Massive X out there. If I get out, we've got 3,075 patches. So let's just go to bass. I'm gonna play with the filter just a little bit. I'm also going to play with the release. So if we go to amplitude envelope right here, you can see the release. I'm going to crank that down a bit. It's actually one of the macros, so I could go up and just use it right on my keyboard here. Okay, so I played around with the bass line a little bit, but I think that'll be good for now. Let's also go and look in Massive X for maybe some kind of, another kind of keys sound. Let's try this neo soul one. Let's go to a Play Series instrument. We are going to try out Empire Breaks. Oh, you guys got to watch my video on that one. I'm really excited about that one. Can't believe it's included in this new version because it's very recent. And we're around 80, so let's try. Oh, that sounds great. Let's just load that one. With Empire Breaks, you can either trigger them from the pads or the keys, or you can use the patterns that they've got built into them. And if I go over to the patterns, I can actually drag them out into Maschine and then tweak them. I love this one, so I'm just going to drag that right into Maschine. And there it is. This crash is just going too ham here. I'm just going to mute that one. And then the last thing we're going to do is go find one more synth lead sound, and we're just going to play this out. Ignition keys, another video on that one, recent one, beautiful, beautiful virtual instrument, and lots of great sounds in it. So let's go find a sort of synth lead sound from that one. Got a link to a video for that one as well. All right, so just showing you the tip of the iceberg on a whole bunch of patches here that are going to apply to the hip hop, the pop producer, whatever. And there is so much stuff in this new update. There really is. And I feel like there is got to be something for almost everybody. I hope this video was useful for you. See the sort of orchestral side of things, maybe the little bit more out there kind of stuff in Cubase, and then some of the pop stuff here in Maschine. Hit me up in the comments if you have any questions about things in this update that you're not sure if they're going to be worth for you, and I'll help you make that decision. And again, I don't want you buying something that's not right for you, so make sure you do your research, check it out. But if you do want to get it and help me out, hit that affiliate link. Thanks so much. Even more important, hit the subscribe button and the bell. I'll see you in the next video.